Hey there, I'm Robin, and today I just wanted to do a quick video on sort of how I'm deciding on which books I want to read, which might not seem too exciting to many people, but basically the reason I'm doing it is because I am a super slow reader, as I've said in videos before, and essentially I need a strategy in order to feel productive with my reading at the moment. So I've got a little bit of a document together in order to sort of try and help me do that. So that's essentially what I'm going to go through now. So let's get to it. So basically I'm using Notion, a tool called Notion, to organize my reading list rather than using something like Goodreads. I think Goodreads is good for sort of like historic type data, I guess, but I find that Notion is very flexible in terms of what you can do with it, and you can add more stuff, you can take stuff away, you can filter differently, things like that. That just make it a really powerful tool to use for something like deciding which books to read and sort of keeping track of things like that. So basically what I've done here is you'll sort of see that in this sidebar sort of thing, you create a new page called books, and then you I think you can, oh god no, I think you can add, yeah, you can add a new table basically, and then create your own columns like this, and then you it gives you some by default, and then you can just press plus, and then you can change the type of them. So I think for this one, I think it's actually fixed. Yeah, but for the others, you can actually choose which field type you want. So it could be a phone number, email address, URL, checkbox, which is good to see. Like, I mean, instead of sort of status, I could have just like whether it's read or unread sort of thing, but I have sort of more statuses than this. So I've got to be read, reading, read, and dropped, so I find that quite useful. You can also have tags, which actually might be better for genre for me. Yeah, genre could potentially be tags, because genres aren't necessarily just lumped into one genre. So for example, fantasy might be best for me to sort of split up into different types of fantasy, because obviously, you know, you've got urban fantasy and, you know, all sorts of sort of, you know, dark fantasy and all that kind of stuff, that are quite different actually. So I think it is important to distinguish between them. And I could do that by changing this from a select to a multi-select, basically. I won't do that here because I don't really want to mess up what I've done just here, just for this demo. Yeah, also, so the rest of it is pretty straightforward, right? So we've got names, so that's just the title of the book, author, and this is just like a unique sort of tag. And every time I add a new one, I'll add a new one. Same for series, some of them don't have it. Page count, which is sort of the main statistic, I guess, that I'm going by here, and all of these I've just taken from Goodreads. But the cool thing about this is, obviously, I've added the list of books that I'm interested in reading at the moment, and there are a ton more. Oh, misspelled Stormfront there. Let's fix that. Yeah, so I've added all of these that I'm interested in, but you can see here that actually they're ordered by page count, and actually you can order it however you want, but it's basically done through this this sorting here, and I've just done it by page count ascending. And you can see here that actually The Eye of the World, which is the book that I'm sort of mainly reading at the moment, is the longest, and that's that sort of opened my eyes a little bit when I went through this list, because sort of watching a lot of videos by Slowly Read, another YouTuber, and he sort of focuses a lot on suggesting books for people that are slow at reading, and sort of the higher page count books are definitely more intimidating for people like us. So like it's making me question whether I've made the right decision to sort of take this on as my first book, because obviously, you know, we're seeing that this is like it's I mean it's almost double the next one. And the Way of Kings, I mean, this is just part one of Way of Kings, which is another problem, I guess, because Way of Kings in total I think goes over 1,000 pages. That actually, like, okay, so like the next one, it's almost double the length, right? So perhaps I do need to start taking on some of these shorter books, and I think this is a great tool to sort of figure that out. And what I've done is I've started reading Never Die, and I'm actually getting through it quite quickly at the moment. So, and that's great, because it's giving me a bit more confidence. It's getting my reading speed up a little bit as well. But yeah, I think basically what I've learnt from this is that I should probably take on some of the smaller books initially, at the very least, just to give myself the sort of confidence as a reader, and then sort of work my way up to the thicker books, I guess. And that's not to say that I shouldn't read thicker books. It's just that for my own sort of sense of accomplishment, I guess, I'd like to be able to finish a few books in a month. Obviously, you know, that might sound like I'm putting pressure on myself, but I've got totally no expectations. I don't think I've even set a reading goal on Goodreads, which is good, because ultimately I just want to read things that I enjoy, and starting small just sort of gets me through a book, and that'll make me feel happy once I'm through it, and then I'll move on to the next one, and then the next one, and the next one, and maybe then I'll sort of feel more confident to start taking the others on. But yeah, another cool little thing is that you can actually open each of these titles as a page, and what I'm doing for that, this is sort of like a bit of a behind the scenes sort of thing, I guess, is that I am essentially writing my notes in here instead of in my book. And how that looks is something like this, and this is sort of spoilers for like potential reviews. But yeah, so here it has sort of the metadata from the different columns, but you can also sort of start adding yeah, like just text based on where you are in the book and whatnot. It's just freeform text basically. I'm not doing anything fancy here, but you can also sort of do similar sorts of things in here. So you can add another block, and then you can change the block type, so you can turn it into something else, or when you click the plus, you can embed a page, and what that'll do is it'll create a page for you, but then in this page here it'll create a link to that extra page. To-do lists, headings, obviously just formatting text and whatnot, but then you can also add inline things as well, and lots of really interesting things like tables, boards, like if you've ever used Trello, something like that, a bit of a gallery if you want to do a mood board. Again, I feel like I'm kind of selling Notion here, but like all I'm doing here really is showing you that it is quite powerful, and then actually what I'm doing here is quite simple, and I suppose the most complex thing that I'm doing here is the table, where I'm doing the sorting, but it's as simple as that really, and it's been really useful to me. And I found like a cool little thing here as well, is showing the average of the count of the column. So it's showing the average amount of pages of the books that I'm interested in, and obviously the Eye of the World is sort of skewing that figure a little bit. In fact, what happens if I do 0 here? Let me cut that for now. Yeah, 364, that looks a lot better. But anyway, yeah, that's that essentially. And sort of as I'm going through books, obviously I'm just changing the status and things like that. But yeah, I guess like that's sort of how I'm choosing my next books, is I'm sort of looking towards the top half of this list at the moment. I am debating dropping Eye of the World at the moment. I do have a video lined up for the chapter 1 after the prologue, but I'm not entirely sure how much further I'm going to go than that right now, because I feel like I'm getting much further through Never Die, and I'm feeling a bit better about that right now. So at the very least I might just put this one on hold. I don't think I'll drop it completely, because I was enjoying it, although the first chapter is definitely a lot slower than the prologue. But it is a beast of a book, so I do find it a little bit intimidating at the moment. And I just want to get through some books at the moment. Not in terms of like a race or anything like that. It's not a race. It's just that I want to feel like I've read something and finished something, to give myself that confidence. I know I feel like I've repeated myself a few times in this video, but yeah, hopefully you found this useful. If you have, drop us a comment, let us know what you thought. And if you like this video, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later. Bye bye.